Welcome back to the Beyond the Bucket Show. It is my pleasure to have a national champion on our hands. Has over 600 wins in the high school ranks. Craig Campbell, welcome to the show.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're the head women's coach or girls coach at Clovis West High School. You've been there for a number of years now, but you started your career out in Reno. You've been coaching for over 26 years, I believe. Tell me, what your process has been and what you've learned kind of in your coaching career so far.
Well, when I was done playing, right away, you have that competitive desire, and the local middle school up in Reno needed a 7th grade B team girls coach.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, $500 when you're 19 years old, trying to figure out what you're going to do as you're going through school and stuff and playing on the side, not bad. So I got into it and I just started really enjoying it started feeling that competitive feel.
Sure.
And so I started going into that, and at the time girls and boys were different seasons up there. So I coached the girls season, and then the boys opened up because I did well with the girls. And so I'd go girls, boys.
Yep.
And my second year I got asked to be a JV assistant on a boys program. And my third year I was asked to be a JV head coach, JV coach on the girls side. Mm-hmm. And by 21, 22, by the time season started, all of a sudden I had my first head varsity job. So in 4 years, I was thrown into the fire, and that first year inherited a 2-23 team. Everything I thought I knew about basketball went out the window.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know crap about basketball anymore. We were like 4-21. Went to a Nike coaching clinic that spring and listened to Krzyzewski and Dean Smith and many of the legends. And I'm like, well, wait, we were trying to do some of the right things, but we just don't have very good players.
Yeah.
And then the next year we had a good group come through of freshmen, and we went year 2 from 4-21 to 20-8. And from there, it just kind of kept it going. And the thing that got us going there that has continued and even gone to greater depths here is our feeder program. I was coaching the 7th and 8th graders there that fit into our high school. So I would literally go 3 to 5, 7th grade, 5 to 7 varsity in Reno.
Wow.
And my varsity always hated if we ever lost a game in middle school because they knew I came in a bad mood.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh no, they lost. It's going to be a rough practice.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that drew me to Clovis West was Clovis West is set up. We have 7 elementary schools that feed one middle school that feed us. And
Wow.
So my official title is Director of Girls Basketball Clovis West area.
Yep.
So I'm in charge of kindergarten through varsity, and we run AAU down through our 2nd and 3rd graders. So we've taken what we're doing in Reno and just mass produced it. And that's the single greatest factor into our sustained success.
I love that. And you mentioned a couple things, and we're going to get into basically the business in which you run your basketball program under just a little bit, because it is run like a well-oiled machine. But most importantly, I think you mentioned it, talking about the growth mindset. You talked about a coaching clinic that you went to, 20 plus years ago. We just attended a virtual coaching clinic over the last 2 days. And that is the one thing that comes to mind when I think about you, is just always trying to get better, always trying to find little things that can make your organization better or your teams better. And I think that is really your secret sauce, and really what you've kind of built your legacy on to this point is just always growing, always becoming a little bit better or 1% better every single day. Tell me about that competitive nature that you've got, that growth mindset, and where did it come from?
The competitive nature, I don't know what it is, but I am just tweaked that way. Yeah. When I watch the things of when you hear, Michael talk and Kobe talk and Magic talk, and they start talking competition and a switch flips. It's like when I was in high school, we'd be over at buddies' houses 2 a.m. playing Nintendo, and like, okay, last game. And if I lost that last game, we're playing again. We're running it back. And it's I don't know if it's a sickness, a curse, it can be a blessing and a curse.
It is.
But it's just, our entire family, it's, who can be the first one to get upstairs and get to bed? Who can be the first one here? And it's just, we love competition. Aside from missing being with my kids and the teaching part right now,
Yeah.
watching The Last Dance and all things going on, you miss competing with your kids and
Sure.
your coaching staff, and going into it's just such a great thing. In terms of the growth, it's like anything. We can't expect of our kids what we're not going to model.
Right.
So I can't tell them, you guys better be punctual, you better be on time, and I roll in at 3:01 for 3:00 practice.
Right.
And so, if I want them to grow, I've got to be constantly trying to grow.
Yeah.
And I look back, gosh, I mean, it's been 26 years. I'm going, I must have been a horrible coach the first 10 years
Oh,
because
yeah.
I've changed and grown so much. And even in the last, from our 2017 team, stuff we ran this year, I'm like, God, that would have been really good with this team, and
Right.
you're just constantly trying to find new ways to get, like you said, you get 1% better when you've been doing it 26 years. That's a lot.
It is.
And I think there's a lot of young coaches, or maybe not young experience-wise, that come into the game feeling like they know it all.
Sure.
And I remember when I came in at 22 years old, I was, even though I was young, I'd been around basketball my life, I had the utmost respect that were already doing it.
Right.
And I wasn't putting down the programs and coaches that were kicking our butts and were there. I'm like, that's where we need to get to. And, I think success breeds success. And so as I started building what I wanted my program to look like, and still to this day, I don't just steal from girls basketball coaches. I go to boys basketball coaches. If I see, I mean, there's things that I've stolen from the Patriots, about mindsets and the way you conduct yourselves and motivational stuff. And so, I'm always, we have a really highly successful, one of the top wrestling programs in the nation here in our valley. And there's things from them that I've stolen about culture and different things to just always try to make us a little bit better.
No doubt. No, I agree with you 100% in all walks of life. From business owners, I want to get in their head and understand how they're managing all the people, because their problems are very similar to what coaches have to deal with. It's about managing all the things that come into play, and just stealing different ideas. I remember, I forgot who it was, but a basketball coach, I think it was, I forgot who it was, but anyway, they went out to Oregon's football practice, and they watched Chip Kelly when he was there, and he was doing everything so fast. He had both sides of the ball, and they were this team would run the play, this team would run the play, and then the next, as soon as this other team was done, they would be right back on the next play, and just getting so much more done in a limited period of time. Whereas previously, you run the play, everybody goes back to huddle, everybody's standing on this side, everybody's standing on this side, and it's just a complete waste of time. And I remember when I read that, I wanted to transform our practices and become faster. What can we do? I heard that he doesn't get water breaks, but they can get water at any time. That's one thing that we do to our day. You put your water bottle, everybody's got their hydro flask. We put it on the baseline. You need water, go get it. But we're not going to stop practice to do it. And you can get it at any time. And, that's just one of the things that I really appreciate about you, and just people like us, that competitive nature. No matter what it is, we're trying to win at everything, and we're going to do it. We're going to do it to the best of our abilities. And guess what? We'll be okay if we fall a little bit short. If the other person was just better, or the other team was just better, it is what it is. But we're going to fight like heck to try to make sure that we don't feel that hurt of losing.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because, you and I didn't know each other when we first started coaching against each other.
Yeah.
And just from how hard you coach your kids and the way your kids perform and conduct themselves, and hopefully we do the same, we built a relationship. We had some great battles, and it was never snubbing people through the handshake line. Your kids never come through the line, turn their head away. It's just like, those are the people and programs that I've developed really strong relationships with, because that's how I hope that we're carrying ourselves. And it doesn't have to, I should want to kick your butt, you should want to kick mine, but we can be cool after, and we can help each other get better, and we can have respect. And our kids are going to follow our leads on that. No doubt. So I always enjoy and appreciate those people that I've developed these friendships with, that we didn't know each other when we started competing. And, we both wanted to kick each other's tails, but at the end there was mutual respect and hell of a job. And hey, good job. Hopefully we get you next time.
Yeah, no, I've really appreciated the same thing. Like you said, we didn't know each other, and I started looking up because I was coaching boys before I got to Valley, and I looked up, who are the best teams outside of our area, so we can go, be in the same vicinity as them, go play them, and you guys kicked their butt every single time. But we tried to make it competitive as long as we could. You guys are just, a well-oiled machine, and you guys have been better. But the way you coach, if you're up 30, it doesn't matter. You're still coaching your kids. You're not sitting down. And the
No,
same thing, even in the games that we've been down 30 to you guys, I'm coaching the entire
absolutely.
game because that's the competitive spirit. And if you're just better, it's our job to make sure that we get to that level. It reminds me of this year, and you guys came, I guess, up to us. And I really thought we could compete, but we have to play really, really well. In the first half, after one, we were tied, and then you guys go up 6 at the half, and then you guys just keep coming. You guys are so relentless, and we ended up losing by 20 in the end. But you felt good about the way we competed.
Mm-hmm.
We gave it everything that we could, and at the end of the day, it just wasn't good enough. And that's the competitive spirit, And watching The Last Dance has been terrific. I know you've been entrenched in it.
Oh yeah.
Just seeing your tweets and us talking about it. But I want to talk a little bit about how you run your program,
Uh-huh.
because it's a well-oiled machine, and it starts, at the kindergarten level. Were you always this organized? How was it for you to get these steps in the process? Just tell me a little bit about how you do things.
Well, it's something that's become this big of a magnitude of running something all the way through kindergarten is far greater than anything I could ever do myself. I have
Wow.
an amazing staff. Um, Mark Howard's been with me for forever, could be one of the top varsity head coaches in the Valley if he wanted to.
Yep.
Dwayne Stewart was a former head coach and is very technical. Meredith Pulliam was a head varsity coach and a head college coach at one point. Haley White is with us now, and she's been a head varsity coach and a head junior college coach. Devin
Wow.
Cross has been with me for many years, would be a top varsity coach if he wanted to. So that core of people have been with me, most of all of them 6 to 10 years,
Wow.
most of them closer to 10.
And
I
most
have,
importantly, you lean on them for that. Like
oh yeah.
you were very engaged with your assistants, and
Mm-hmm.
they have a very, very big imprint on the program. And I think
Absolutely.
that empowerment really helps your entire program.
Yeah, no, there's times, especially when I get somebody that either comes up to varsity for the first time or is new to our program, I'll walk by them a lot of times in practice and say, hey, coach, like I'm not here. Coach, like I'm not here. Or they'll say, hey, we're not doing this. I will blow the whistle, I'll go tell them. I mean, I want our coaches, because when they start jumping in and teaching, they trigger something that for me to build upon with that. And I might be fixated on the fact that nobody's boxing out, but they're noticing that nobody's sprinting the floor, or
Yeah.
he's noticing that we're standing on offense. And so all of our little pet peeves and twerks that we like or really dislike as coaches, when we all have a voice, we really feed off each other, and then we're giving the kids that much more information.
Right.
And I mean, our staff is so committed. They all take a team, AAU team, as soon as the season ends. You'll go to an AAU or summer league game for us, and you'll see 6, 7 coaches on the bench.
Yeah, that's
And
beautiful.
it's not me. I just try to, I don't like to demand things of my coaches. I really just try to set the example. I only get frustrated when they don't see the example and follow suit. And the people I have now, they don't do that. They're, hey, I know we have our tournament cup in 2 weeks. So do we need to do the brackets? Do we need to, they're proactive with stuff like that because they've been with me so long.
Right.
They know how anal I am about things, but the people that I've surrounded myself with are wired the same way. And it's pretty cool because we have 4 coaches, 4 younger ones that played for me at West. And then Haley actually played for me on my second varsity team in Reno.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll have 5 former players that are involved in our program, somewhere 6th grade through varsity next year. So that's neat too, to have them, they know our way, they have the loyalty. When I first started hiring coaches, I always thought I need somebody that knows basketball. I need somebody that knows basketball. And going through some trial and error with that, having some people that weren't loyal, having some people with their own agendas, having some people without the same work ethic. My two things now are loyalty and work ethic.
Right.
If you betray me or the program or the kids, I can't have you. And if you're not a worker, I can't have you.
Right.
And if you're those two things, I can teach you anything else.
Sure.
And so those are the people that I need to be able to count on, because I think your staff can make the bad times tolerable and makes the good times great.
Right. No, you've definitely modeled the right way to do it. And again, the people that you bring into the program are the lifeblood of it. And it just continues to foster success when you're doing it the right way, you're modeling it yourself. And then you've got great individuals that you trust and you empower them. Then you got a really, really good situation, which you do. Tell me about some of the challenges, because everybody would look at a program like Clovis West that is one of the best in the nation as far as girls basketball. I know you guys have a great athletics program in general, but we all have challenges. Some people will be like, oh, if I just had, if I just did it, if I just had Clovis West. Well, everybody's got their, what, SHI, and we can't be looking up over at somebody else's lawn and say, man, it looks pretty good over there. But tell us some of the inside things that maybe you might have to deal with that programs may not know about.
Well, as you get to know coaches, or, I've never been one to make excuses, and, you have to find your way and navigate through things. And I'll have coaches vent, oh, poor us, we don't have this. If we had your shooters, if we had your facilities, if we had, if we got to go to this tournament. And it's like, over the years, I've realized and try to reiterate back to them, we all have problems. They're just different problems. You might be at a low income school with no parents and you don't get any fundraising. And this person might have over the top parents that just think that because they write a check to a private school that they have a voice in your program.
Right.
And this person, might have played in the high Division I or NBA. So they think that they have enough, and it's just, you have all these different factors. You might have no administrative support. You might have no staff.
Right.
I think we've been fortunate that what drew me from, because when we were in Reno, we were number 1 to 3 in the state for the last 6-8 years I was there. It was us, Centennial, Gorman each year battling it out. And what drew me to Clovis West was when I came down and looked around was everybody wanted to be number 1. And there were programs and people up in Northern Nevada that you were resented for working hard because you might be making somebody else look bad. Like, hey, you need to chill a little bit. Like, true story, a league rival of mine up there when my twins were born got back to me. He said, hey, well, hopefully he won't be able to put so much time in the gym now. It's like, wait, because my kids are born, you rather than you saying, I see what they're doing, I'm going to put in that much work or more. Right. You're hoping now maybe I won't be putting in as much time, and so it's like Clovis West and Clovis Unified, everybody wanted to be number 1. Mm-hmm. And it was embraced and
how did they display that to you? Was it, because the one thing for them, they just tell you, hey, we want to be number 1. And then when you get there, the whole situation is different, but obviously you felt something a little bit different.
Well, when I went down, when they came and talked to me about coming down, the first time I went down, it was a great visit. It was, everybody is gushing and overwhelming. And I'm a cautious person. I make calculated decisions, and it felt great, but it seemed like, was it a little bit of a show? Right. And so I came back down months later, and I said, I don't want anybody to know I'm coming, because there's a boys basketball game that night. I said, I'm going to walk around campus. I'm going to hang out. 99% of the people don't even know who I am, and I want to see if it's for real. And so I literally walked around campus and went and sat right in the middle of the boys' parents during the game. I love it. And I told them, I said, I don't want anybody to know I'm here. If anybody comes up and approaches me, it's off. Yeah. And it was just like it was when they set it up for me. And so I'm like, okay, these are genuine people that just want to be. And so I think our athletic department, obviously we have Vance Wahlberg, who's, one of the top coaches of any level in the country. Yep. But we have some excellent coaches that really push each other to be better. Right. And it can be in a multitude of ways. It could be your feeder program. It could be your fundraising. It could be your scheduling. It
Yeah.
could be, hey, baseball got a brand new scoreboard. We need to do this in the gym. So, we just have an awesome staff and an athletic director that is raising the bar for us all the time. So you feed off that culture within ourselves.
Yeah. It seems like you guys run more of a private school type of deal, and you guys are a public school. Like you are
Yes.
a nationally ranked public school, but you guys are beating a lot of the private schools. Like in our area, this it's basically dominated by all the private schools,
Yeah.
and the public schools, and I think you guys just created an open division, to kind of get you guys out of there and all the good teams,
Exactly.
all the good teams to play each other. So when we're in the playoffs, we're basically playing our entire league and then maybe one or two other spinoffs, but they're mostly all private schools. In your area, it's the other way around. Tell me about that dynamic, because the schools that you're going against on this national level have different resources than what the public school has, and you've created a model where you can now compete with the best, and some would even say that you have just as many resources, but that came from all your work ethic as well as the athletic administration. So tell me about that process on basically saying, here's where we're at and this is where we want to get to. And how did you guys, figure out how to fundraise and travel all over the country and do all these things?
Well, we have tremendous resources in Clovis Unified. The fact we kind of have the combination of a small school or a small town feel in a big city, because our district's set up where everybody's territorial. We have our 7 feeder schools. Right. And so my thing is, I not a knock on any local anything. I don't want them thinking about the Warriors or Stanford or whatever. I want those young kids wearing Clovis West shirts. I want them excited about Clovis West girls basketball.
Love it.
And, people will say, well, most of your kids only play one sport. Do you tell them not to play this or that? And I said, I would, first off, I'd never do that to a kid. If you love something, play it, because you're only in high school for 4 years. Play it as long as you want. My whole thing is I want them to fall in love with basketball to the point where that's their first priority. Now, I don't ever make it their first priority. We don't penalize kids like in AAU. If a kid has club volleyball on Mondays and can come to us on Wednesdays, I tell the parents, hey, send them on Wednesday. If they fall behind, that's on them. They're not going to get penalized. But if they fall behind because they're missing one night a week, that's up to them. But I want them to, there's been coaches that are like, hey, how come so many girls, are doing basketball so early and only do basketball when they get to high school? And one of my assistants turned to him and said, you don't understand. He's getting them in kindergarten and first grade. Right. That he has a relationship. I can tell you who our 15 best third graders are right now. Yeah. And I can tell you our 12 best second graders right now. And, that's our staff putting all that time with them. So we have the infrastructure and the feeder system and the articulation all the way through, because we're in charge of it, to have those kids coming up. So the resources are tremendous. We have a district that wants you to go play a national schedule. Yeah. So like the last 2 years, our kids have taken finals on the road. Right. Most schools would say, when I was in Reno, you could miss a day and a half the entire year. We miss a full week. And they're like, hey, go out and win. Good luck. Because they want Clovis Unified being put on a national level. And I don't we do have a ton of high schools in California, but the better ones always end up seeing each other. Whether you go to a tournament up north, you go to a tournament down south, it's a lot of the same teams a lot. Right. And so I love going out of state. I love getting our team out of here. I think there's a tremendous amount of bonding and maturity and leadership and adversity that you go through on the road. We usually drive to Arizona, which is like a 10-hour drive, and it's hell on us. The girls sleep a lot of the way, but we're doing TikToks in the thing, and we're having riddle things, and we're lip sync battles with the other vans, and there's just all those things that go into building a program. So, right. It is a challenge being a public school in California, because the central sections like Nevada, where you only have a couple privates. Right. And you have a lot of small town teams that, that are very good. Like we have Carruthers and Sierra Pacific that are very good small town teams here. But the privates don't dominate our section. So our open division this year was the top 4 from our league. us,
Yeah.
Clovis North, Clovis Buchanan. I mean, you're talking 4 of the top 50 teams in the entire state out of 1,500 high schools were in one league.
Right.
And so that was our open division, was round 3 of track, which wasn't very exciting for us because we're like, God, we play each other all the time. We just played each other a week and a half ago. And now our the playoffs are always exciting to play somebody new.
Definitely.
But we've been the only public school that's been in the open division the last 7 years out of the entire state. And so my first year of the open division, I'm like, this is bull crap.
Yeah.
They got all the privates here. We lost by 36 and I think 38 our first 2 years in the open.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we can never get there. And then the next year,
they put you as a 7 or 8 seed, have to go on the road down to LA and
yep,
play one of the big ones.
because at the time, every section had to have at least one representative.
Right.
And that was what was frustrating is the open division is supposed to be the 16 best teams. Well, there were years we were ranked 32 in the state and we got thrown in the open.
Right.
And so it's like, if you say the southern section, which is so loaded with amazing coaches and amazing teams, can only have 4 teams, well, heck, you take the top 15, they usually have 10 of them.
Sure.
And so when they took those caps off, we're getting a more equal representation of that. But
right.
The first few years, the Division 4 winner would win by 30 points.
Exactly.
Because they might have been the 5th best team in Southern Cal, but
right.
they were, a borderline national caliber team. So, I think the articulation and feeder system of us having our AAU program starting in 2nd grade is how we combat. We don't get McDonald's All-Americans. We don't get 6'3", 6'4" walking into our gym. There's so much talent in the Bay Area and so much talent in Southern Cal. And there's so many high-profile private schools that kids all go to that our feeder program is really kind of what helps us be a little bit of an equalizer to maybe our kids have played with us longer, they're fundamentally sound, and maybe our chemistry can help us in some of those big games.
Right. No, you make some good points. One, after your first year, you probably figured out it doesn't matter. I'm just going to go play whoever we play, and we're going to figure it out one way or the other. And you've obviously done that, and you capped it off in 2017 with the state championship and a national title. Even as I look at it, when the CIF playoffs start, our bad years, or the one bad year that we had, record-wise, they send us to D2 and we go to the NorCal final game. And the other years where we have better teams, we get lower seeds because in our league, we play against really good competition the entire time. So our league record, where somebody might go 10-0, we might go 5-5 and get 2nd place. Yeah. And, we get a low seed in, a 16 seed or 13 seed and have to go on the road. But, you can't get upset about it. You just you gotta be better, and wherever you're placed, and go and play and just compete. And,
yeah.
I definitely like your approach and your mindset to that. Tell me about this, because, I've got young kids and I don't know how I'm going to be when they start playing, if they start playing. But if they do, I want some advice. You coached your daughter for 4 years, well, much longer than that, probably even when she was in AAU, from kindergarten all the way up. Yeah. But tell me about the dynamic of coaching your daughter. For those that don't know, your daughter, Maddie, is a freshman or just finished her freshman year at USC. And she was a phenomenal player, played combo guard and really had your mentality. I mean, she's an incredible leader. She would get on her teammates, and she's just a really good player. So I know you're extremely proud of her. But tell me how it was coaching her, and were there any days where it's like, I don't know if we should be doing this, or was it, I know there's some challenges, but give the people some insight to that.
I would say it was 90% just incredible, amazing experience. And then there's 10% that, you look back at the days that you were too hard because it's your kid. And I've seen both ends of it with other coaches where the coach's kid gets favored. And I've seen it where the coach's kid gets it way worse. Yeah. And I went with the way, if she's going to get it way worse, there's going to be nobody that's going to be able to say she got what she got because of me. Of course, there's the people that are clueless or bitter for success that, try to make excuses or say, she's going to USC because of me. I've got lots of college coaches friends that, didn't recruit her, didn't offer her that,
Right.
they've got to put food on their table too. So, being able to share the journey with her was tremendous. And then she won league all 4 years. She won Valley all 4 years. To win a state championship was just another level with that whole group. And then special having my daughter involved, a national championship, and then seeing what she did after that group graduated and her putting it on her shoulders to be the alpha and to
and from
take the
afar,
reins.
sorry to cut you off, from afar, that was incredible when you moved her to point guard, and she was the main primary ball handler. Not that you didn't have other ball handlers, but she was going to be your best option, but she was also your best shooter.
Yeah.
And so that raised some challenges, but to her credit, she did a really good job of not only just playmaking, but finding her opportunities to score where you guys needed it.
Yeah, no, and it's crazy because I see people that, you face guard somebody and they get 8, or you run doubles at them and they get 9, and it's like she averaged 21 game her junior year, and
Yeah.
everybody from Christmas on face guarded her, sank somebody at the rim and face guarded her, ran doubles at her. What made her so dangerous was she's such an unselfish player. She can score in bunches, she can shoot from deep, but if I didn't have to get her shots, I just need to get the ball in her hands,
Right.
because she was such good vision and was such a good passer that she would find the right person to make you pay if you ran doubles at her. And so, to have that selfless of a player with all the great players we've had at Clovis West, be the school's career leading scorer, career leading 3-point shooter. And what was impressive was she was 5'11" guard, but she ended up being the school's leading rebounder. And,
Unbelievable.
she'd just go get the ball.
Yeah.
And I just always loved how I could coach her hard and she would raise it up to a level. And, that's those kids that the light's never too big for. The Danae Marquez and the Sarah Bates and Maddie, those type of kids that the big moments, they shine brighter. Those are the special ones.
And did you have to push her to want to be great, or did she just see what you were doing? You were always in the gym working with kids, and she was like, hey, I'm just going to go work on my game too.
She's always been a gamer. She's been fearlessly competitive and just loved the game. And, I always knew she was pretty good, but when I took her in 8th grade to play Cal Stars for Kelly Sopak, the first practice, the tryout, he walks over midway through and he goes, she's really good.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I know she's pretty good. He goes, no, she's really good. He goes, she's going to be a Pac-12 kid. I'm like, you think? I mean, I figured she could probably be a college player in 8th grade, but who knows? She's 5'9", skinny as a rail.
Yeah.
And he goes, Craig, she's really good. And, she just continued to develop and grow her game as she came in as a shooter and a passer. And then she could take you off the dribble. And then her junior year, she started posting up kids and taking advantage of smaller guards and added a mid-range game. So, I mean, she's constantly striving to get better. And her work ethic, she's a kid that, you love the kids that love to train. And she loves practice. And, I'm sure there's days that, it sucks like it does for all of them, but she genuinely loves getting in the gym and understands this is how I get better.
Yeah. Pivoting a little bit, but still talking about your family, tell me about how you balance it, because, I don't think there really is a balance as a coach. There's always going to be basically like a pie, and you're gonna have sections of that pie that you devote your time to. A lot of it is devoted to other kids. I know it as a coach myself, and it seems like I'm always gone or whatever it may be. And for me, I've always tried to integrate my family with what's going on. I want them to come on the trips with me. I want them to sit at the dinners with the team, or just bond with the girls, or whatever it may be. I want my son to be in the locker room. I want my daughter to do the same thing. What have you done to kind of bring your family together along for the ride?
Well, I think first and foremost, it starts by having a very supportive and amazing spouse. If she knew I was a coach when she met me.
Yeah.
She's very competitive and type A herself. And
Yeah.
so she understood that piece going in. Like I think it was Coach Bruno said over the coaching clinic we were part of this weekend, his family, other people have family businesses that the family's a part of. Well, ours is basketball. They've got to be a part and invested in what it is. And,
Sure.
My daughter's 8 and she comes along on road trips. Maddie and her twin brother used to come along when they were younger, and our 4-year-old's a little crazy still, so he's not quite ready for trips.
Yeah.
He'll set the bus on fire, but
Yeah.
they have to be a part of it. But they're at all the games, and my wife's family and her parents and sisters and grandparents are all here in town, and they come to our games. They travel to out-of-state tournaments with us, and so it does. If you separate it, it's going to fraction faster and harder.
For sure.
Because it's so demanding and
Right.
it's so consuming emotionally. And I've tried to subscribe to, but I feel it all the time, of be where your feet are.
Yeah.
When you're in the gym, be in the gym. When you're at home, leave the gym there. But as you know, when you're working with kids and the demands, the stress, the expectations, the pride, it's there all the time. And so the more you can include them in things, I think that the better they're invested and they're a part of it. But I think it really becomes a struggle and ultimately will fraction if you say, I'm a coach and here's my family. I don't know if you can keep it separate.
You definitely can't. And the ones that do it well always, try to include and integrate. And like I said, everybody's got to be on board. All the coaches that I talk to are even business professionals. They're always talking about, their spouse being, so supportive. And then, vice versa. We have to be supportive in whatever they do. And, and I think that's a very key point that you made. Let me talk about some hoops now.
Yep.
Tell me about player development, getting your players better. You're one of the best coaches to get your entire team better, not necessarily just one or two individual players, but your entire team, and it fits your system and style of play to a T. Everybody can do 3 things: dribble, pass, and we know at Clovis West they can shoot the basketball. And even if you don't have a kid that can shoot the ball, you figure a way out for them to be successful. I know you've had some really good rebounders where they would, outside of your dribble drive offense, they would go get every single offensive rebound if they were down there on the baseline spot. The guys would call it the dunk spot. I don't know what you guys call it. But tell me about, the player development at Clovis West.
That's something we've taken a lot of pride in as a staff. And it's one of my favorite things is the teaching part. There's about 4 or 5 games a year that I really get up for.
Mm-hmm.
And I love practice. I love being able to teach and refine and helping kids get better, and then seeing them eventually go out and do things they couldn't do before.
Yep.
And so, we've taken a lot of pride in, I see other kids that they get better because they get older. Our kids get better because they grow their game and expand their skill. And so, when we've 15 years ago or more, changed my mindset. Some teams, they just scrimmage in the summer. And for me, it's like, you're going to play 40 games with us. You're going to play another 40, 50 with club between spring and summer. You're going to get enough games. Right. We want to get better. And so, during the season, by the end of the season, we have a lot of stuff, and we run like 26 set man plays, about 10 or 12 zone sets. We have about 25 inbounds sets that we run. But during the summer, I keep it very, very vanilla. I want them to learn how to play so that they become, we'll run a set if we needed to win a game or end of a half in summertime. But I really want them to learn how to figure things out and become better. So we spend all our time on skill development. Right. If we were in school right now, we'd be going 3 days a week of skill development. Right. And as soon as summer hits, we go 8 to 10, all skill work. And then 10 to 11, we lift 4 days a week. We're playing summer league 2 nights a week. And then we're going and playing in a weekend tournament. And we go through all the way through the end of July on skill work. And so, we'll do some 1-on-0 stuff, or some 1-on-1 stuff, some 2-on-2 stuff. We'll do some 1-on-0, 3-on-0, 2-on-0 working on developing that chemistry and synergy of playing with each other. But we're going to make all of our kids pass with their weak hand. We're going to really break down their shooting and nitpick their shooting every single day, 30 minutes year round. We're shooting competitively and nitpicking, breaking that down. So we don't spend a lot of time scrimmaging in the summer and off season, because you're going to play enough games to go put that into work.
Right.
So we really are breaking down their ball handling, their footwork, their finishing moves, their passing, their spacing, and understanding moving without the basketball. And then obviously a ton of time on our shooting.
Absolutely. Switching pivots, talk about your defense a little bit. That's one of the staples that you guys have. You guys are always one of the better defensive teams that we've played. And it's just relentless. You have to be ready for pressure at all times. Even if you guys get beat a couple of times, it doesn't matter. You guys still keep on coming, and more times than not, you really break teams down, and you can kind of pull away. And then we talked about this on our pre-call. I really love the fact that even if you do get up, you don't let up. You may take the press off, but then you switch up, whether it be, some of your zones that you're working on matchup or even man-to-man. Tell me about your defensive philosophy, because it's one of the best in the country.
Thank you. We would love to press and trap the entire game. And we have probably 7-8 different hybrids of how we do that. Some people look at us and go, oh, you guys just run a 2-2-1. Yeah, if that's all you think we got, it's going to be a long night.
Yeah.
We will try to tweak it into what your press break is, and hopefully make you go to an option B or C. And
Right.
Most teams don't have a C. If you've got one great guard, we're going to get it out of her hands. If you like to dribble, we're going to try to make you pass. If you like to pass, we're going to try to make you dribble. So we have a lot of variance in how we do it. There's a lot of staples and consistencies to what we do defensively. We score everything in practice. So like when we scrimmage, we don't just go 2s or 2s, 3s or 3s. We have a whole defensive scoring system. So like if we get a steal in the back court, it's worth 2 points. We get a steal in the front court, it's worth 1. We want to obviously try to steal it closer to our basket, so we have a better conversion rate.
Right.
All deflections are worth a point. Charges taken are always worth 2 points. And so, yeah, the buckets might count, but there's other ways for you to impact the game, which also, you're not going to have a team full of scorers. And so, it balances out in practice that if our second team's not as talented as our first team,
Mm-hmm.
through effort and detail and hard work, they can compete with the first team. And when we do our press scrimmages, if you score on your press offense, you don't get any points for it. You get to play defense. Your points only come if they come off a turnover. So if I steal it, we get 2. I throw it ahead to you for layup. That's a 4-point play. But if you score on your press break, you don't get any. So it gets the kids to understand we want to shift our focus into we want to play defense, not we have to play defense.
Right. I love that.
Yeah, communication is huge. We name every position of our press and of our man defense. So like you'll have a team, say, playing against a dribble drive as an example.
Mm-hmm.
If the one penetrates, a lot of teams, you'll have 3 kids saying, I got help, I got help, I got help. Well, what are you doing? 3 of you are saying, I got help, but that doesn't tell you anything.
Right.
So we've named our positions, like our first line of defense is the rim defender. You're going to protect rim anytime somebody penetrates. Our second person is the helper. We call her drop. You're going to drop and cover the rim girl.
Sure.
And then our third line of defense is the split person. You're going to drop and split between the two. And so by having a one name, I'm rim, I'm drop, I'm split, it also is saying what their action is when this happens. And so it's very intricate, but our kids, over time, they really grasp it. And then, we start playing more seamlessly.
Right. No, I love that. I love the terminology, and we all have our own. We would say, obviously you have the person on the ball, and then we have the gap defender, and then we have the anchor. So the anchor would be, your the helper. But no, I love that. A lot of times the people don't get into their sets when they're playing you guys, though. So, I don't know how often, when you get to late February and March, you obviously, have to see some people run sets against you. But one of the things that I always see your team do is playing hard. what are you doing to get your team to play with so much energy and effort?
It's funny because I get about 6 to 10 either texts or emails a year that say, "Hey, we played you last night," or "Hey, I saw you play. Your kids are always in such great shape. What do you guys do conditioning wise?"
Yeah.
And they're always surprised when I tell them we don't really condition much.
Right.
And they're like, "Well, what do you mean? You got to do something. I mean, you guys run the mile. I go, "We practice so hard that our kids play themselves into shape. Now, of course, you're going to have some conditioning, um, but literally, when our kids are running in practice without a ball, they've either lost a drill or coach is really, really, really bad." But we try to make every single drill in practice a winner and a loser.
Sure.
And so our kids start to just understand that when you step out on the floor, we shoot free throws. You put two girls over there and start shooting, just say, "Hey, go shoot 20 free throws." They're going to start talking about the prom that weekend or what movie they want to Saturday night. And so they've got it. Our kids have a down and back for every miss. And then as a team, as soon as we're done at our hoops with our free throws, the team has to be over 80% as a team, or they run it down and back for everyone. We're under 80%.
Right.
Every box out drill has a winner or loser. Every shooting drill has a winner or loser. And it might be individual. It might be me versus you. It might be us versus other groups. It might be a team goal. But every single drill is being timed and scored. And so our kids that you just don't allow them anything but to play hard.
Yeah.
And if they don't play hard, we'll sub them out. Okay, evidently you're not in good enough condition to keep going hard. So you can run up and down. We continue and
Right.
get yourself in shape.
That's one thing.
And you
Go ahead.
sorry, you touched on it earlier. I had a reporter years ago come up to me and say, "You're the most intense up 30 coach I've ever seen." And I turned to him and I said, "Doesn't my third string deserve the same amount of detail and coaching that my first string does?" And so, we're really playing to an expectation. We don't talk about score much. We don't talk about championships or valley, or it's about an expectation every day. And we feel that we take care of that more often than not, the scoreboard will take care of itself. And so we're just trying to promote that every day of that competitive, and understanding time and score. A good shot in the first quarter might not be the same thing in the last 2 minutes of a ball game.
Wow, you're speaking our language now. The Bill Walsh, "The Score Will Take Care of Itself." It's a great book that he put out a while back, but it's still a great read. And we just talked about it at the coaching clinic, Corey Close, "Burn Your Goals," where it's like, we're not talking about the Pac-12 championship. We're to your earlier point, be where your feet are, and this is the only moment that we have. We can't look forward because we don't know what's going to happen. This is the perfect time for not looking forward, right? With the whole COVID, you have to be where we're at and make the adjustments. But I just love the way you guys play. You guys play exceptionally hard. We try to chart everything as far as that goes too, and that's one of the things that I've probably taken from you. We do chart every win, every loss. And at the end of the week, we'll look and say, hey, one thing that we did this year was you get the championship belt if you won the week. So if you had 40 wins for the week and you can get a win in a shooting competition or one-on-one or, a team competition, it doesn't matter, but somebody's going to be the winner at the end of the week. So we just started giving them a championship belt and shouting them out on Twitter. It worked well in the preseason because you just have more time in the start. Once we got to the regular season, it kind of kept getting tricky to continue with that. But so we just try to do some things like who's taking a charge, you get the belt in the game, or the rebounder if we didn't take a charge that time. So touch on your offensive philosophy. You've got we could literally do a segment with you on each one of these, but I just want to give a high level overview for anybody that's listening. Talk about your offensive philosophy. You guys are tremendous shooters, one of the best shooting teams in the country. You guys work on it. You have a specific way in which you want them all to shoot, and they've been doing it, since they're in kindergarten, and it really, really plays well to the style of play, and it's given you a lot of success. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I think first and foremost, going back to the player development, it doesn't matter what you run if you don't have kids that can put it in the bucket. And if you have kids that can put it in the bucket, whatever you run is going to work a lot better.
Right.
So, our skill development, our kids being able to shoot the basketball gives us a lot of variety. Year to year, we've run a lot of different wrinkles. We have kind of a dribble drive mentality, which kind of goes, it's a good balance with our pressure because both are attack mode all the time. But we've also gone away from some of our post players are more versatile than we were in the past, or there's been years we had no post players recently. And so we've kind of taken the dribble drive and gone to morphed it into a 5-out. Initially, like with our 2017 team, we ran a little bit more of a true 5-out motion where we had flare screens and slips and on balls, and because it was a really high basketball IQ team.
Right.
There's 7 Division I kids and a full D2 kid on that team. After that class graduated, our basketball IQ went down, and we were really, really young. So we took our dribble drive concepts and put it into a 5-out attack, and we've been tweaking those principles the last 3 years. And constantly talking to people that run it, stealing ideas from other people. I'll watch somebody, I'm like, ooh, I like that part that they do, so we'll go back and make it a part of what we do. Yeah. And so it's the commonalities are we're always in attack mode, we're always sprinting and spacing the floor. You better be able to shoot and handle the ball and playing selflessly. You take a bad shot, I don't care if you're our best player or worst player, you're going to hear about it, and we're going to let you know why. We don't need the kid that's going to get 18 points on 25 shots. Right. We're looking for the kid that is going to find the best shot for us. We want you to identify where our better players are. Our better players are going to get more of the shots, but you better be ready to shoot it and when you're open. Right. But that's a lot of time. Our 3-point shooting and our attack mode, kind of everything else falls into place based on what we do. And then we put in a lot of nice sets. I'm always stealing stuff from college coaches, high school coaches. We'll go to a Christmas tournament. I'm like, ooh, I like that. I'll go and steal it. And I always try to give a shout out, name it after their mascot or their school or something. Yeah. But I just, our 3-point shooting, because we don't have a 6'3", 6'4" post, because we're not the most athletic team in the world, it's an equalizer. You have to extend and guard us, because we didn't shoot the lights out. We had a good shooting. I wouldn't say a great shooting, but we had a good shooting team this year. And we were averaging 11 threes a game. Yeah. And, that's a lot. We had games with 16, 15, 17 threes this year, where after the game, I'm like, we shot it okay. We weren't lights out, but we shot it okay for us.
Yeah, I was there when you guys made you weren't playing against us, thankfully, but you guys made 24 threes or 21?
Against was it at St. Mary's? Against Perry or
it was up at your place. You guys made the most threes in a game.
Oh yeah, it was. I think it was 21.
21. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of stealing plays, we have a play called Eagle, because nice. we took that from you. Nice. I was a shooter, so I like a lot of flares, stuff like that. So, some of the flare action that you guys run is really, and then the slips, it really works well, especially if you have kids that can shoot and then a kid that can dive and make a catch and a play at the rim. It's all about that growth, and just taking different nuggets that you can put in your own arsenal, and then you make it how you want it. Speaking of that, I was listening to a podcast probably last August, and you popped on, and I was just, and and I have your number, and you were telling coaches to reach out. And so I hit you up for a couple of shooting drills, and, that really changed my mind about a lot of things. One is the relationships that you have with the coaches that you compete against. Why are we all trying to hold on to all this information? Because even though, we might I might steal a play from you, it doesn't mean that you can stop it, or vice versa, Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's basically letting go of our ego. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to start this podcast, is just to share more information with others, Kobe, when Kobe passed away, that really hurt a lot of people. And I
Mm-hmm.
know I got a chance to meet him and kind of pick his brain as well. But he was on a search to give out all the information that he possibly could.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that is a beautiful thing. When did you come to be wanting to be more of a sharer? Because a person on your level as a coach, one of the best coaches in the entire country, when did you become more of a sharer?
Probably it's funny because as you win more, people want to know more what you're doing.
Sure.
Um, but there's also there's a great misconception that the highest level is the best level of coach.
Yeah.
We talked about this a little bit. I mean,
Yep.
I could name 5 or 10 coaches in California that are as good as any D1 coach I've been around. And it's, elite coaches are elite coaches. And there we have some amazing ones in California that just do a tremendous job.
Yeah.
It's, we actually get more people out of our area that come to our practices to see what we're doing and implement it than we do in our area. And I don't know if it's jealousies, if it's bitterness, if it's egos that we don't have anything we can learn from them. We're going to beat them our way. But we've had people come from Chicago and from Florida and from Southern Cal and from Arizona and just come to our practices, and it's open. Come on in. And I mean, I've picked the brains of so many people over the years, and I love going and watching other people's practices. I used to, about probably 15, 20 years ago, to always go to those Nike coaches clinics and different coaching clinics.
Mm-hmm.
I like the ones that are more intimate, like what we just did this weekend.
Me too.
And I like going to, because I found what happened was it got stale at those clinics. They're teaching 3-man weave. Well, I don't want to see 3-man weave. We've all seen 3-man weave. Show me your best sets. Show me your skill development. Show me your shooting drills. Show me your favorite out of bounds plays. Like, those are the things I want to see. So I like going to colleges or even high schools and sitting down and watching somebody's practice. And, even if I'm stealing, a phrase, one term might make me better. Our door is open. We got a lot of people that are inquiring about our shooting program in the last 2 years in particular. And this last year it's really picked up.
Mm-hmm.
And we're videoing some of that, and I'm sending stuff out, and it's, it's stuff that I've stolen and put together from a lot of people and conversed with a lot of people. But our door is open. People just need to reach out.
Yeah, I have a same type of approach to it. I always want people to come in the gym. Number one, it makes me better if people are coming in, because I want to know, do you like what this is going on, or if you have any, if I respect you, any possible critiques or anything that you see that our team could do better.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times I'll have, friends of mine that coach on the boys side just come in and watch and say, hey, what do you see? And we practiced at Bellarmine when our gym was down, and like, he was like, do you guys always score this well? And it was just a good day for us, but it just kind of made you reinforce some of the things that you're doing. Yeah. He's like, oh, we do that. We run that horn set. We run that horns action. Oh, this matchup zone. And you just collaborate with people. And what I found is nobody can mimic what you're doing anyway. Nobody's going to be able to have the sauce that you have. Your secret sauce is yours. And if I tried to steal anything from you outside of a flare set, I'm not going to be able to mimic that. I have to be who I am, and you're going to have to be who you are. And so, sharing the game is only going to bring us further along. And why hold on to the good information that we're coming across? Because basketball is basketball. The same stuff that Krzyzewski and Dean Smith and all these guys that you mentioned were doing, the same thing that you were doing. I mean, people have been doing shell drill. I mean, I think people are getting away from it a little bit, but people have been doing shell drill since the beginning of basketball.
Yeah.
And now we're go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say there's we're all, every once in a while you'll tinker with your own thing and come up with your own drill or your own set, but we're really just stealing from each other, morphing 2 different sets into something that fits your personnel.
Yep.
Just the end of this year, I was like, okay, I want some new, because I knew we were going to be playing our league for the third time in the playoffs. And then looking at state, and I was texting college coaches, high school coaches, hey, what's your favorite? Give me your favorite zone inbounds play.
Right.
And so we're putting in other stuff. Or I've texted a couple high school coaches in California, hey, our team doesn't rebound worth a crap, and your team rebounds so well. What do you guys do? Just having that open dialogue to share with each other. We all have our strengths, we all have our weaknesses,
Right.
and I'm trying to get better at my weaknesses all the time.
Right. Or get some assistants that are better at those things than you, which
Yep.
Which I love. I love my staff, and obviously you love your staff.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about just the pressures of staying on top. You guys, you're one of the best teams in California. You have been for a long time, but that brings a lot of pressure. And, what is it like for you to always consistently have to be at a high level? Because even if you beat a team by 20 points, well, you're better than them by 40. Like that's gotta that's gotta get at a person like you a little bit.
Yeah, it's there's a lot to that. When I first came here, we had some talent, but they hadn't turned the corner really. And when I started talking about we need to go out and win league, the kids were like, Coach, do you ever feel like that's a lot of pressure? And I'm like, no, because when the target's on your back, it means you're doing things right. And so we had to shift their mindset. And then it kind of came full circle when we won the TOC in 2017. A lot of times a national champion or number one rating is just mythical because you haven't played each other. But we played 9 of the top 15 in the country that season at some point. And so, when we started getting the number one ranking, that it was nice. And for a little bit, I think it got to our kids just because there was so much attention all of a sudden. But our thing was always the outside pressure should never be greater than our own expectation. Yeah. And that year that we won it all, what's funny is we didn't go into the season going, we're going to win state this year. I knew we had a good veteran team, and I knew we had to go through Poly in the South. So we're going to play a very physical, aggressive, athletic style. So we scheduled accordingly, trying to play physical, athletic, aggressive teams to just be prepared for Poly. Right. And it's just kind of as the season went on, we kept knocking these teams off. It's like, gosh dang, we're pretty good. And it just kept plugging along. But even in the facet of winning the state championship, 3 of our last 4 games were wins by single digits. And all of those 3 were a 3 to 4 point game in the last 2 minutes. So, we were this close to that not happening. Right. We played a stretch of, I think we played 7 McDonald's All-Americans that year. It was insane, but we just, you need a little luck. You need some things to go your way, but we really try to focus on that expectation, and it's hard. Our kids, it was kind of cool this year because this young team really bought into the mindset in a weird way, because we won the Valley Championship this year, and we were up 25, almost 30 on Clovis North, late second, early third quarter. And then we'd done this a couple of times. We let off the gas, and they came storming back, and the game was never in jeopardy, but we ended up winning by 11, 12, whatever it was. And it just felt kind of empty. And I was frustrated because, you want to finish things. Right. And, teams win Valley. Valley's a big thing down here. It's a second championship. They always run out and celebrate. This team kind of walked out and kind of high-fived and did the break. And the next day I texted one of our captains. I said, hey, how come you guys didn't run out and celebrate? Because I always step back and remove myself and let the kids have their moment. Sure. And she said, well, Coach, we were happy we won, but we felt like we let ourselves down and didn't finish what we started. And I was like, okay, yeah. Okay, they're getting it now. You can deal with that. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to make sure, you're always testing making sure it's not something deeper. You don't have a bigger issue. Especially with the girls. You just never know what's going to happen. But, there's been games we've won by 40 and I'm pissed. There's been games we lost by 15 and I felt pretty good. And it's, how did we play? Who was our opponent? Did we meet our expectation level in all of our details, all of our principles? Did we do those at the highest level? Sometimes the team's just better than you. And sometimes you should have won by 80 and you won by 30. Yeah. And, we don't take anybody for granted. We prepare the same for everybody. games where we know it's going to be a blowout or should be. We try to break down certain goals and certain standards of what we want to accomplish by this point and stuff. And so to me, there's never a wasted opportunity. I will never sit down when I'm up 30. I will never sit down when I'm down 30. Our kids deserve better than that. And if we're going to expect that of them, I've got to model that.
Yeah. So 26 years, how many times have you won a state championship?
2, one in Nevada and one in California.
And that's how hard it is. Like, people don't understand that's a lot of teams' goal. I mean, Gino is 111.
I think 11.
And I don't think anybody else on that coaching clinic the other day has won, except for Tara, has won a national championship.
Yeah, I don't think so. Not off the top of my head.
And I would say that everybody on there is a success.
Yeah.
And so,
those are some of the best in the business.
Absolutely. And so one of the things that you mentioned just now was you're basically holding it to your own standard. And for those people that are out there, you may not be able to get to, where you're at as far as, winning goes, or one of the best teams in the nation for whatever reason. Maybe you're not willing to put the work in because you're willing to do it, or maybe you just don't have a system in place that is going to allow that. But you have to find your own standards in which win for you. And that is really what we're all looking to do, is trying to make it the best situation wherever we're at. And you got to be okay with whatever it is, because one of the best programs in the nation is one state, one time. Yeah. That's pretty darn hard to do.
Yeah.
And especially in California. So, you always have to have those other goals for yourself and for your team. So do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah. A couple things there you hit on were key points. We have 1,500 high schools in California. And when you look at the national rankings,
15,000,
1,500 high schools in California.
Yep.
And like when I was in Nevada, I think we had 150. Just the amount of competition. And, you go through Nevada, you got to be Centennial, which is a hell of a basketball team. Yeah. But you go through California and you got to beat about 4 of those. And so, just through your chain. And so there's a lot of times teams in California would be state champions in about 42 other states. And so our teams that didn't win it in California would be state champions in 42 other states.
Right.
The competition is unreal in California. And you need to be true to yourself. You need to embrace what you're bringing to the table. I remember when I came to West, people, you're trying to build a program, and as we were getting it going, we'd beat some by 50 or 60, when I first got hired, let me backtrack. When I first got hired, the district AD at the time said, they won section a year or two ago, and we want you to go out and win state. And I'm like, okay, I see the team in there. That team's not winning state. I knew from afar how good the competition was. And I said, we're not going to win state every year at Clovis West. We might not win Valley every year. But what I want to build at the time, my reference was, I want to build a Gonzaga men's where we might not win it every year, but you don't want to play us. And there will be years that maybe we get hot or have the right connect, right things fall into place and we kick the door open, but we want to be in the hunt every year. So 2 or 3 years into being at West, I had a long-time 35-year tenure football coach turn to me and say, man, you guys beat this team by 60 last night? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, oh, just remember, those that you pass on the way up are the ones you're going to pass on the way down. And he probably thought I was arrogant, but my first thought to him, I turned to him, I said,
we ain't going down.
We're not going to be at the bottom. And he goes, you can't say that. I said, yeah, I can, because we will make sure we work hard enough not to ever be in last place. And so, we won't win it all every year. We won't win league every year. We've had a great run of 15 years of league and 8 straight sections. It's going to come to an end at some point, but we feel we'll be in the hunt. And, if you get us in 1 year, we're coming back next year hard for you. So that I can control. And, those are the things that you have to pour into it, but you have to believe in what you're doing. You have to have support and help that believes in what you're doing as well.
Right. One of the other nuggets that I took from the clinic was we can't control the outcome, but we can control the response. And that is it to a T. Well, we can sit here and do this for hours and hours, and I'm sure we'll get back on the text and the calls
Absolutely.
as we, close out. But I just really appreciate your time. Where can everybody follow you? And you drop a lot of good nuggets, and you got a good Twitter feed and all that. So.
Yeah, they can follow us. Clovis West Girls Basketball is our Clovis West account. Most everything about our teams on there. I have my own separate one, but you can reach me on either one. You can email me at the school. It's Craig Campbell at cusd.com. Campbell, just like the soup. You can find me on the website too. Always happy to share. This past fall, I started out a little shooting email directory. Wanted to get more stuff up than we did, but sent out a couple of our favorite drills to people that had heard the podcast last fall and were interested. And, always willing to, when you reach out and want to steal something, send me your favorite set, send me your favorite drill, because I'm always looking to get better too. But always happy to help. If you're ever in Fresno, want to come out to California, we're in the gym. Other than this COVID situation, we're in the gym 11 months a year. So come on by and the door's always open.
Definitely. Well, thank you, Coach. We really appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks, buddy. Good talking to you. Stay safe.
You too.
Thank you for listening to the Beyond the Buckets podcast. Please remember to subscribe, rate, and share the show with your friends. And until next time, take care.